You were never taught how to love yourself. As a matter of fact, you were only taught how to hate yourself and how to distract yourself and how to alienate yourself from yourself. First, let's get right into the topic of why we don't love ourselves. On top of that list is childhood conditioning. It is said that children, or the purest of minds, right? They come into this world as a blank slate. And the first thing they get met with is conditioning and being taught how to function in this world of ours. That is through language, for instance, right? The first language that we purely speak as children coming into this world is emotions. We cry and we smile to express happiness or certain needs that are met or not met. We cry when we're hungry, so mom can feed us some breast milk. We smile when dad is happy and smiling to us and playing with us to express that gratitude and that same emotion back. With that being said, we already become contaminated from the get-go. We learn how to speak a language and we learn how to behave in accordance to what our parents teaches us is the right way to behave. That means when certain impulses come up and when we feel like behaving in a certain way, we become corrected rather quickly. We get taught that the certain way of behaving may not be the right way, and sometimes we even get punished for it. We get scolded for it. Obviously, there's reasons for that, right? So we can function in society and we can learn to cooperate and coexist with the people around us. There's certain aspects of it. There's an element of safety, not being alienated and surviving in this culture of ours, and also an element of understanding others, which also naturally means that we will seem to understand ourselves and also how to convey that self-understanding towards others so we can get our needs met. Emotions don't just work in this complex world of ours, especially nowadays. With that, there's also a fear of our own minds being cultivated. And this happens throughout the education system. We get taught about certain things and we get judged based on a grade, based on how well we perform in these certain things that we're taught at school, at university, at high school. That is very good and nice, and it teaches us how to function in the society and how to be functional in the world that we're born into. But we don't ever get told how we function. There's no element of therapy going into elementary school or high school or university. So we lack a certain lesson in self-understanding, and we lack the reflection tools and how to gain insights and how to be comfortable in the way that our mind works. There's a lot of reasons for this. One is that it's not something that we see any financial benefit in, right? It doesn't really contribute to the capitalist nature of our society. It also becomes a dangerous tool, right? It becomes more difficult to control how we want you to function in society if we give you the tools to reflect upon how to make yourself grow in whatever direction you want to grow in. It's much easier for us to tell you that you need to be educated in this. This is going to be your job role, and this is how we want you to engage in the world with the person and the human that you are. Besides of conditioning is distractions. We live in a world full of distractions. There's distractions everywhere. And these days, our attention, what we pay attention to, equals money. We see it through TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Money makes people lose all sense of conscience, at least with regards to certain people, certain corporations, especially in the way that society works these days. We will do most things, if not everything, to get a little bit of money into our pockets. And that means that you barely have a moment of stillness. When is it ever quiet inside of your mind? Do you ever allow a moment of stillness? And when that stillness comes and everything is quiet around you, you become scared. That can feel like losing your mind. We need to have a TV show running in the back. Personally, I need to have my fan running, so I can just have that background noise blur out all the thoughts that come to the front stage when everything is quiet. And that can terrify me. That's the moment when I honestly feel like I might be losing my mind. And what is happening in that moment of stillness is that I am finally confronted with my own thoughts, feelings, reflections about what I am doing. Where am I? What have I done for the past 10, 20, 30 years? Okay, I'm 29, so maybe not 30 years, but you know what I mean. And in those moments, I become scared of all the things that I may have missed, all the opportunities that I may have passed by, all the opportunities to grow in certain directions because I didn't listen, because my attention was elsewhere. And in those moments, of course it will feel like you're losing your fucking mind, because a lot of things come to mind. And how do you deal with that? If you were never taught the tools or the insights to deal with all this new information coming up, I understand that you're fucking terrified. And that's when you learn to alienate yourself. That's when you learn to hate yourself. That's when you learn to avoid the stillness, because the stillness is a direct connection into you. Of course you can't love yourself if you're constantly avoiding yourself. If you're in a relationship and you're constantly avoiding your partner, you're clearly not gonna love them more, right? When does love grow? When you start spending more time with your partner, when you start exploring things with that partner of yours, when you start doing things and you start basically feeling emotions, sharing experiences with that partner. So what makes you think that you can love yourself and actually have a nice relationship with yourself if that's what you avoid the most every single time? How can you love yourself more? You can start by becoming more comfortable by spending time in stillness. You need to keep this super simple because there's so many distractions out there and so much fear instilled in us over years of conditioning, of staying away from ourselves and avoiding ourselves through our social media, through education, through being conditioned on how to behave, that when you do meet yourself in these moments of stillness, you need to be gentle, you need to be compassionate, and you need to acknowledge every single emotion that pops up. That means if you're fearful and if you feel like running away, acknowledge that and be kind to yourself. If you start noticing things, regrets, how much time have I wasted? Am I even in the right job? Do I even love my partner? Be compassionate, be loving. And what does being loving mean in this situation? It means listening, acknowledging, and then responding in a loving way. That means comforting yourself when you are in those moments, having those thoughts and reflections and feeling those emotions. That's the most difficult part of this, because your most habitual natural reaction will be to run away. It's terrifying to meet yourself. It's terrifying to meet a person that you hadn't met for years, especially if you've actively been avoiding them because you think, or you've been taught, you've been conditioned to believe that that person is dangerous, that person is weird, that person is out of the norm, and that person is someone that you need to avoid in order to survive. Okay? You need to reframe your relationship to yourself, and you can do that when you meet yourself. When do you meet yourself? In moments of absolute stillness, alone, without distractions. How often do you need to do this? Every single day. Because you distract yourself every single day, every single moment. If anything, the norm should be to be with yourself every single day. And the distractions should be the exception, right? But that's not the case. And even just saying this out loud, you need to meet yourself every single day through moments of stillness, which could be meditation, which could be journaling for 5 minutes. Seems like an outrageous idea. And that's just fucking nuts, isn't it? Isn't it weird that that is the reaction that we get when we mention something as natural as spending time with yourself? It's as simple as that. You need to simply reframe your relationship with yourself in the moments where you meet yourself. Instill 5 to 10 minutes time of stillness, which could be in the form of meditation, it could be in the form of journaling, it could be in the form of going for a walk by yourself without distractions, without anything else. And when you feel that fear, when you feel that stillness, when you feel that boredom, you stay in it. But you don't stay in it while avoiding it. You don't stay in it while telling yourself that you can't wait for the time to be over. You stay in it and you force yourself to love yourself in those moments. And it's gonna feel weird as fuck. It's gonna feel so strange the first couple of times that you do this. And that's how you know it works. When you feel like running, do what you know you have to do. Accept it. Love yourself actively and stay in it and keep doing it, because you were disciplined to not love yourself the exact same way when you were brought into this world as a blank slate. Now you need to do the opposite, and you need to experience the emotions associated with it. You need to acknowledge every single bit of this journey that feels unnatural and dangerous and fearful. And you simply just need to trust the process. You need to trust yourself. And when you do that day after day, time after time, you will learn to love yourself the same way that they taught you how to hate yourself. Comment on this video if you found this video helpful, and let me know what other topics you would like for me to discuss. And also, I would like for you to simply just answer the question, do you know how to love yourself? And did this video make it any clearer to you? And if so, are you ready to start that journey? And if the answer is yes to that, let me know exactly how and which practical steps that you have decided to take. Otherwise, this whole thing doesn't matter. If you do not decide to take those practical steps that do feel wrong and that do challenge you, none of what I mentioned in this video really matters. I can't wait to follow you on your journey, and I can't wait to be back with another video for you. I love you all. Stay blessed.